It's 6:30. We call Sawyer County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. Ask the clerk to call a roll, please.
Steve Carrianen. Kay Wilson. Tweed Schuman. Stacy Hessel. Randy Newman. Mark Helwig. Thomas Duffy. Marshall Savitsky. Chuck Van Etten. Jeff Haney. John Righeimer. Ron Kinsley.
Here.
Ron Buckholz.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. Next item is pledge allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Number 5, certification compliance open meeting laws.
This meeting has been noticed to the public and news media as required by Section 19.84 of the Wisconsin statutes.
Thank you. Number 6, the meeting agenda. The agenda is set. Number 7 is public comment. Anybody that wishes to speak to the board, we ask them to fill out a paper. We ask them to stay at under 3 minutes so everybody has a chance to speak. State your name and your address. We have Mr. Dave Green.
Yeah, thank you for letting me speak for a quick second. I was just told 2 days ago about the Dairy Queen buy that everybody's proposing to buy. And I got a few issues being a veteran myself and thinking that I really think there should be more thought put into this before you guys spend the money that you want to spend on it. I talked to a few veterans and local people today, a matter of fact, and they mentioned that they think it's totally the wrong spot. It's too small. What happens in the wintertime when the salt and the trucks go and plow it in? And also, is there any kind of program that says who's gonna put what in there? Are we gonna have airplanes, tanks, whatever in this small process here? And I think there's other opportunities to go out there and venture to find better properties, you know, that like over at I talked to the town of Hayward. They said they got plenty of room over there, you know, at the old county print shop right there on the river. That'd be a beautiful spot for it. So it's just not one spot I think that we should consider. I think we should consider many more before you guys jump into spending all this money, and then also having a plan on who's gonna take care of it, what's gonna go in there, you know, in that spot. If you guys decide on the Dairy Queen, what's gonna go in there and who's gonna maintain it. Okay, and I could keep going on, but I think my 3 minutes is probably pretty good there.
Thank you.
You bet.
Robert Plum.
Maloney.
Thank you.
I'm speaking on the same topic. Veterans are my heroes. And I'm glad we're getting some veteran input, which was omitted at first when we went into this. And I came across an article in the Sawyer County Record. And the Veteran Service Program receives grant of $25,000. And this grant will support veterans and their families who are homeless and at risk of becoming homeless with items such as gas cards, vehicle repairs, phones, phone cards, utility payments, and household and personal care items needed as they work towards self-sufficiency. Now, it sounds good, $25,000, but it's divided among 19 northern counties, veterans in each of these 19 counties. My heroes are suffering. And so we're gonna pay, 10 times as much for this dubious memorial. I also think public input would be needed. I want to see something meaningful. And on Madeline Island this past summer, I accompanied a widow placing her tile in the ground with her husband's name on it. It is visible. Is it visible? No. Is it meaningful? Yes. It's an oft-visited site. The same with a lakeside park up in Duluth. You come to a point and they have the signs, the names of people who left us, who gave their lives for our freedom. I don't know these people. It brings tears to my eyes. They sacrifice for me. And then what does the public want? I guess we missed Prime Place just off of downtown with the lot, $50,000. Could have put a fountain there, some tables, some trees, and, remembering the veterans. So I just think we need a lot more input on this before we decide it. So I ask that your wisdom and compassion guide your vote.
Thank you. Renee Brown.
I'm going to talk about the same subject as well. So I'm a veteran of the United States Air Force, and I've been intertwined in the veteran community for the past 15 years in many realms through employment, volunteering with alternative therapy programs, and participating in local veteran service organizations. It took me by surprise when I received a call and then saw a question in the Sawyer County Record asking opinion on placing a Veterans Honor Park where the old Dairy Queen building currently is located. A side note, and some may call it thinking with feelings over reality, but my first thought is $250,000 could go a long way in helping veterans reintegrate after military service and help heal from war trauma by supporting alternative therapy programs. I've personally have witnessed those programs change lives and save lives. Number two, could that money be used to distribute countywide to the local VSOs for their use in creating honor park locations or memorials in their respective communities? With that said, I will stick to what's in front of us, the proposal for a Veterans Park here in the city of Hayward. Any endeavor to support our veterans is much appreciated. I have much admiration and respect for the passion behind the project. However, I don't believe the old Dairy Queen location is the right choice. When I think about honoring veterans or placing a monument, I imagine a place of peace and quiet where one can reflect on the dignified service and sacrifice of our veterans. Certainly not a busy highway or traffic light intersection with limited options for parking. It feels like a very rushed initiative to complete a project that should have many options considered. In addition to veterans in our community, I have made contact with all but one of the commanders of veteran service organizations throughout Sawyer County. It appears no organizations were asked for their thoughts or opinions. Overwhelmingly, everyone is thankful the idea is being discussed, but the location was an issue. Shoes Pond was at the forefront since a portion of Hayward's Memorial Day programs take place there. It's possible that Shoes Pond is not an option. I don't know that. However, my point is that that was only one idea of many thoughts and suggestions after speaking with my fellow veterans. I think of the Lakuta Ray Veterans Memorial or the Spooner Veterans Park. Both are remarkable examples of a lot of thought, planning, and time placed into them. In speaking to someone who sat on a planning committee for the Veterans Memorial in Spooner, they said it took a lot of input and advice from many different entities in their community before it was presented or moved forward. Finally, I have to ask if Hayward is going to benefit with county money to remove an eyesore for a veterans honoring park. Then I question why not other areas across the county receive the same benefit and honor the many veterans residing in Stone Lake, Radisson, Loretta, Draper, Winter, Exland, or Sealy. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Ben Kurtzwell.
Benjamin Kurtzweil, 16040W West Lane, Town of Hayward. I'm also here as the chairman for the Town of Hayward. December 12th, a week ago, I sent a letter out to the county board stating an idea. I had heard about this Veterans Memorial being proposed at this Dairy Queen lot also. The idea was the Town of Hayward has two lots that equal roughly 8 acres right off of the state highway. We have a parking lot already in place. We have a covered pavilion with picnic tables and a small playground. The Town of Hayward would be happy to discuss putting the Veterans Memorial on the Town of Hayward property at that location. We had a special board meeting yesterday, and the town board acted on the letter that I sent out to the county board and approved exactly what I just said. The town of Hayward would be happy and to open a discussion with the Sawyer County Board about placing the Veterans Memorial on town of Hayward property. Now, from my understanding, this is $250,000 being proposed from the Resource Development Fund, which is a fund, from my understanding, that is earmarked to repair dams, bridges, and maintain other county property. So, looking at the breakdown of the purchase of the Dairy Queen lot, I believe it was about $153,000 to purchase, $50,000 planned out to raise the old building, and $47,000 for the actual Veterans Memorial. The town of Hayward's not going to ask for any monetary money. We will donate the property. That would save the taxpayers of the county significant amount of money. Perhaps the county could even explore the idea of spending more than $47,000 alone on a monument and build a bigger one. But the town of Hayward believes that the proposed location is just not adequate for such an honorable and sacred monument to our veterans and fallen soldiers. And maybe the town of Hayward isn't the perfect place, but we believe it is a much more appropriate location for veterans and their families to come, reflect and honor, and even have an area for a picnic if needed, or an area for their children to play while they do so. So please consider that when you are looking for a location for the Sawyer County Veterans Memorial, that the town of Hayward is more than happy to discuss possibilities. Also with maintaining or anything else, we're open to that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Alex, is anybody online? Who is it?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Steve Binding, Town Draper, 8225 Blaisdell Lake Road. I have a couple general areas of concern about the Veterans Park proposal. It starts off with a lack of transparency. Somebody must have some answers to this real estate problem that I'm not seeing, because the deal doesn't look that good. When you're talking 0.07 acres, it comes out to roughly $2.2 million per acre, folks. I think we can do better. So whatever it is in this deal that says it has to be the DQ just doesn't make sense to me. So I must be missing some of the solution here. I noticed there's also no appraisal, so you really don't have a line of comparison. And if people are citing an appraisal, I'd love to see that. I'm going to use an example of another city in the state of Wisconsin. It has a very large population. It's a Veterans Park in the county of Milwaukee, and they have selected a spot in their county that is on the shores of Lake Michigan, next to their yacht club. It has a 14-acre lagoon. Sawyer County is the 5th largest county in the state. I think we can find a good spot for them without picking one of the smallest spots in Sawyer County to put this park. Town of Hayward has some options. So I guess the speed of this is another concern for me. That's a huge red flag. When we say this deal has to get done faster, I go, why? So it really doesn't pass the SIF test when we start talking this level of speed. So rather than complain to you, I'd love to offer a solution. How about putting together a site selection committee, letting concerned veterans, letting veteran groups, letting concerned board members, veteran board members have some input to this process? It's a good idea, but it needs to be executed better. So that gives you a chance to solicit donations, come up with a rendition, get buy-in from the entire community, and make it a beautiful place. Thanks, folks. Take care. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Moving on. Number 8, appoint board member vacancy for District 9. Mr. Jim Evans has contacted me, and he's on the Round Lake Town Board, and I had a discussion with him last week, and I'd like to recommend him to fill the District 9 position. Bastley, sorry. Mr. Buckles.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve Mr. Evans as a District 9 Supervisor for the Sawyer County Board.
Ms. Hessel?
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Ms. Hessel, to approve Mr. Jim Evans. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Evans, Honorable Judge Ackle, please.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Jim Evans, having been appointed to the office of County Board Supervisor, District 9, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of said office. Discharge the duties of said office. To the best of my ability. So help me God.
You know what? Well, we can worry about that later. That's right.
Thank you, Honorable Judge Ackle.
Thank you, Judge.
Number 9, elected officials, staff recognition. Oh, Andy, when you go up there, you call her husband to come up there with you. Please. So we have some plaques to hand out. And Paula Chiser is the Register of Deeds, could not make it tonight, but we have a plaque for her. And Jadine Abrick is the Sawyer County Treasurer. We have a plaque for her, but she's unable to make it tonight.
Janine and Paul, the chair said, could not be here tonight. Just want to point out, Janine is completing a first term. I did not get Paula's tenure, but I understand it's over 20 years that she's been with the Register of Deeds. But we're also saying goodbye to the departing county clerk, Lynn Fitch, who is here tonight. And so we'll be presenting Lynn and Paula and Janine tomorrow a plaque, Sawyer County Service Award. With our greatest appreciation, we hereby honor Lynn Fitch in recognition of your service and commitment to Sawyer County as county clerk. Thank you for your service. Matt, do you want to join Lynn up?
Also from Health and Human Services, we have the honor of having Mr. Joe Bodo. He's going to retire from Sawyer County after a few days of service. Joe, how long you been working for the county?
It'll be 36 years, 7 or 8 months.
Thank you, Joe.
Yes, he's counting. So Joe has served the residents of Sawyer County since May 2nd, 1988. 36 years is an amazing accomplishment that most of us will never achieve. It is incredible to imagine the many lives he has touched in his work. Joe's passion for protecting patient rights, the HHS budget, and championing the underdog will be missed. With so many years working with HHS, Joe's position has morphed. He's touched many programs. Residents and stakeholders reach out to Joe directly for answers, which will make transition planning difficult, as we will never be able to replace his years of expertise. Joe, thank you for your 36 years of loyal, dedicated service to the residents of Sawyer County. As you retire, may you be proud of the work you have done, the person you are, and the difference you've made. Oh, you gotta sit, hold it so we can see. Are you saying something?
I'd like to just say thank you very much It's been,
Oh, you probably have to use the mic or they can't hear you.
thank you very much. It's been an honor and a privilege to serve the people of this county for the past 36 plus years. I would say that a couple of things I would just like to say. It's fitting that I received this from Julia, first female director of Health and Human Services, because there were 3 women that were visionaries that hired me back in 1988. You may remember Ann Trowbridge, Arlene Brandt, and Shirley Susan. They took a chance on me, kind of a strange fellow coming up from Chicago, but they, I think they made a good choice. It was a good fit. And I will say that I've learned from a lot of people, and the most important thing is to have good service to the people of this county. Obviously, you have to be responsible with the budget, but you have to have service delivery. And I wrote this down a while back. I just want to read it. Back on 4/16/24, you may remember, Mr. Kinsley, Chairman Kinsley. The most important thing about this position, I believe, are the employees we have in Sawyer County. That is, if you take care of the employees are going to take care of you. We set policies, they do the work, and we have very good workers. I just want to thank you for the recognition. I know it hasn't always happened in the past, but if you treat your employees well, the service deliveries to the people of this county is going to be phenomenal. So I would just like to say thank you again.
Thank you, Joe.
Is this the one? Okay.
Okay, moving forward. Number 10, consider approval of the minutes of the previous meeting of November 12th.
I so move.
Second. Motion by Mr. Duffy, second by Mr. Buckles to approve as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 11, access agenda minutes and new portal. Our county clerk and county administrator are going to show us a little presentation. We have new agendas, and I want to make sure everybody knows how to maneuver around on them.
Okay, we're going to ask my system to share, and I'm going to take you first to the main page when you come to SawyerCounty.gov. On the bottom, we have a temporary link right next to this nice big blue box that says Agendas and Minutes, New Location. And then there's a link that says, here is the Agenda and Minutes link. So that's very quick. That'll get you right into the new software where you're gonna be able to find agendas, minutes, and video recordings, and it'll be all in order by date. However, that link will not stay there forever. So I'm gonna slide back up to the top of the screen and hover over the word government. So the big green screen pops open, and then there's, on the far left, the third one down says Agendas and Minutes. Click on that, and this is the same way our public enters the site as well as you. And the screen will change to the first most current date that we're on. So you can see there's a calendar in the upper left here. That's the date of the 19th is circled. That's today's date. And the minutes and the agenda are right here. It's going to pop right to the closest agenda that's available at that date. So in there, you're going to find 3 things, and I'm going to move the screen over here. Once you get in there, on the far right side of each agenda, there's 3 little pictures or great green bars. The first one is a video recording. If the video is out there, it takes IT a day or 2 to get them out there. You're going to see the little picture of the projector, and that's going to be your video recording. And then the agenda, or it's just saying the agenda is posted, and then the download link is right there, the arrow. And that'll pop up where you have the option to choose any of your agendas or your minutes. So the minutes, once they're approved at the meetings, then they go out on the website too. So you can see past minutes. You can scroll back and forth and change dates by just going through the calendar. So you can find old minutes, you can find future agendas right on the same screen. So back and forth on the calendar, you can go back to earlier agendas, and you can go forward to future agendas. So very easy. Any questions? Works well. Okay, great.
Anybody else have questions for her? Thank you. Number 12, zoning committee, chair report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Sawyer County Zoning Committee will hold its monthly public hearing tomorrow at 8:30. At the last month's meeting, the committee approved 2 conditional use permits and made a recommendation for an approval on a rezone case, which will be heard next. The committee also approved 22 lot subdivision in the town of Hayward and a 30 lot subdivision in the town of Round Lake. Both of these subdivisions are included as part of the preserve occurring by the Mosquito Brook flowage off Highway 77. With a slowdown of the construction season, the zoning department will be wrapping up the year-end reports and starting up on additional ordinance and amendment process. The amendments include the multi-dwelling development portion, which is a formation of an ad hoc committee, is being requested, and a state update on the model shoreland zoning ordinance and updates on the citation ordinance. If there's no other questions, I will turn it over to Jay for the rezone case. That ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, County Board Supervisors. We have one rezone case tonight. We have rezone number 24-012. This is in the town of Edgewater. Owner Ronald and Laura Zook. This is located as tax ID 8740. It's 1.85 acres zoned to agricultural 1. The request is to rezone the entire 1.85 acres of agricultural 1 to commercial 1. The applicant is then looking at selling the property to a one Jesse Miller, and then Jesse Miller is planning on opening a landscaping business. As part of the staff report and background research on this, again, be it that it's only 1.85 acres, this could not be further subdivided as an agricultural lot, as that would require the 5 acre minimum. And again, the use of a landscaping business would be more appropriate in a commercial zone district. The town board did approve the request. There was some discussion back and forth about how they were going to access this property, whether it was off of Highway 48 or off of Sunset Lane, which is a town road. I do believe at the end, then the town came back, they actually tabled it, had additional discussion, and did allow the applicant to have a Sunset Lane driveway access. Other aspects as part of the staff report, they did show as part of their future land use maps that this property be as a forestry residential. Again, though, this can be changed as it is not all binding from the town, and that when a specific property should be rezoned, it should be consistent with the town of Edgewater and the Sawyer County Zoning Committee on a mutually agreed basis. Again, the town did approve. There were 6 additional notification letters sent out to adjacent property owners. 1 additional comment was received in objection. It was read into record. The Sawyer County Zoning Committee public hearing process, November 15th. It was recommended as a vote of 5-0 for approval to the county board. That is all.
Mr. Schuman.
Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve rezone 24-012.
Mr. Buckles.
I'll second that motion, Mr. Chairman.
We have a motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Mr. Buckles to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 13, ad hoc committee. Before we get to that, folks, and number 8, when we appointed Mr. Evans for District 9, I neglected to say he needs presently to go to Land and Water and Public Works Committee. So I need approval for that.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Buckles, second by Ms. Hessel.
Yes.
So it's to put Mr. Evans on the committees of Public Works and Land and Water. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, my error.
We have a meeting tomorrow at
11.
Yes. Number 13, ad hoc committee formation. You gonna handle that, or is Jay or?
Jay, do you want to handle this?
Yeah, I don't have the document in front of me though, but ultimately, if you just want to read the purpose of it, as recorded there on the resolution, then I can go into kind of why we are looking at forming this ad hoc.
Yeah, the first therefore be it resolved is that the ad hoc committee be called the Sawyer County Multi-Dwelling Development Committee, be formed to create a balanced framework that supports sustainable growth, meets housing demands, and aligns with the town's and county's vision, while ensuring legal clarity and compliance with regulatory standards. The ad hoc committee's work will be time-bound, and upon resolution of the conflicts, it will submit its recommendations for adoption by the appropriate governing board. So maybe that's a little complicated, but may I share the first one? Its purpose is to address and resolve conflicts with the existing ordinance language that currently impedes the effective planning and implementation of multi-dwelling developments.
Yeah, and to further summarize that, and we've gone through a couple different processes for multi-dwelling development. I mean, right now, the current ordinance does have conflicting language in itself and needs to be corrected one way or the other. We tried a couple different ordinance amendment processes and they were denied at the town level. So in conversations with the county administrator as well as the county board chair, we ended up kind of forming this ad hoc committee with members of the town board. So you can see the list of, I guess, recommended or members that were interested to serve on this committee. This was then further recommended for approval by the administration committee as well as the zoning committee.
Yeah, you can see on the second page, the list of members that will make up the multi-dwelling development committee. Those were solicited from the towns, so they provided us names that are listed. You'll note that there are 3 that are unfilled. Either they had not had the chance or they just chose not to appoint somebody. If they were to appoint somebody in a month or 2, it would come back to the board for approval, as would any changes if people step off and they need to reappoint somebody. But that's the committee list as of today.
Mr. Schuman.
Chairman, I got a question. Andy, who does this ad hoc committee report to then? Zoning?
Yeah, it's a zoning ordinance, so they would submit their work to the zoning committee. And then I would expect from there it comes to the zoning committee to the county board.
Correct.
Ms. Hessel.
Make a motion to approve the formation of the ad hoc committee.
Mr. Schuman.
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Mr. Schuman to approve as presented. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
Andy, Jay, so you have all your members picked for this ad hoc committee now? Is this the ones that you're gonna go with?
Yes, I mean, I sent out kind of a recommendation to all the towns to pick a representative from each town, and these are the ones that reported back to me. So I didn't pick and choose any of these. The towns basically chose who their representative would be. Again, I'm not trying to steer which way this ad hoc committee goes in changing the ordinances, but they do need to be fixed one way or the other.
Yeah, so I made you aware, and I made Mr. Alvarado and Mr. Kinsley that I will be sitting on that committee, but I'll be on as a non-voting member. Right?
Yeah, if that is the case, we probably should do a quick amendment to the motion just so that we solidify that list, and I have to come back to make an amendment to the motion to appoint Ron Buckholz as a non-voting member on that as well.
Okay.
Mr. Schuman.
Well, I'm good with that. If the motion maker would amend it, then I would second that.
Do we have to amend it since he's the zoning chair though? Because
I
he
think
would be at the
since-
meetings anyway.
Yeah, he could attend anyway, but since there are non-voting members listed, I would think it's probably a good idea to include his name on the non-voting list.
Okay, then I'll amend my motion to include Ron Buckholz as a non-voting member.
Second.
We have to vote on the amendment first. You want to repeat the motion then? The amendment, please.
Yeah,
Let me see here first.
I think to clean
As
that
a-
up, there should be an amendment, should be a clear motion to amend the non-voting members to include Ron Buckholz, and a second, and then a vote on that, and then a motion to approve as amended.
So I have the motion was amended by Ms. Hessel, seconded by Mr. Schuman to add Mr. Buckholz as a non-voting member.
You can do it all as one.
What will we do for his successor? And who appoints your successor, Ron? I mean, there's
My township is not gonna have any members on there, but I wanna be on that non-voting committee just as to take notes and.
but does your seat
Be on top of
vacate
what's
then
going
when
on.
he's retires? When you eventually retire, does your seat retire, or
No.
will somebody replace you? And if so, who? Who appoints that person?
I'm not going anywhere. I don't think.
That's part of the vote.
Well, I'm hopeful that this ad hoc committee would be done with their work within the next 3 to 4 months.
Right. And it's not, I don't think he's asking to be a non-voting member as a town board representative, but as the zoning committee chair.
Zoning committee chair, yes.
So we have a motion, a second for the amendment. Is there any discussion regarding the amendment? Hearing none, all in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we have the original motion. Ask the clerk to read it back, please.
A motion was made by Ms. Hessel to approve the formation of the ad hoc committee, second by Mr. Schuman.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. Number 14, Public Works Committee. Mr. Helwig. Turn your light on, please.
Thank you. Maintenance Department, they are still trying to fill the part-time staff position and have been working with Johnson Controls to add temperature sensors to all 4 of the IT server rooms. Mr. Alvarado reported that they are finishing up the additional bedroom in the EMS garage for another full-time crew. They interviewed for the open staff position and will be extending an offer to the individual. The 5 pursuit vehicles for the Sheriff's Department have been ordered and were included in the 2025 CIP. Sawyer County Airport report. There is a new project manager with the state BOA, it's Colin Davidson, will be taking over, and he brings several years of experiencing working in this current position as a BOA. We are on track to keep our federal funding that has been allocated. There are no updates to the master plan at this time. They are waiting for the state BOA to finish contracting for the ALP. The tax allocation for each hangar at the airport has been allocated and will be sending those bills out soon. Highway Commissioners Report. The state brushing will start this week. The brine truck has been completed and is ready to use. Brine has been purchased from Washburn County. Winter maintenance policies and procedures have been sent to both newspapers, and the online permit application / payment process will go live this month. ARIP committee will be meeting this month, and Mr. Pinow is waiting to see if we're successful on the county seat application that was submitted. They have 1 vacancy at the Hayward location, but have many applications to consider. There's a new mailbox policy. It's a simplified mailbox policy which outlines size, placement, construction. Was presented for consideration. Motion was made by Mr. Bennett and second by Mr. Newman. Motion carried without negative votes. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you, Mr. Helwig. Number 15, Public Safety Committee report. Mr. Buckles.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Public Safety Committee met on December 5th. Circuit Court, Judge Isham reported that the recovery court is going well. The Clerk of Courts had a written report for us. A list of new cases filed was included. The Sheriff's Department report, patrol Sheriff provided an update regarding arson fires that have occurred in the county. A written report has provided and summarized by Lieutenant Rapinski. Patrol volume increase from the last month to 757. There have been 312 crashes to the date with 3 fatalities, and they are continuing training with the pagers. A jail report was given. The daily population, 60 to the year to date, and the unemployment rate is 71%, with 5 individuals on electronic monitoring. Communication Center and Emergency Management, written reports were provided. Sawyer County EM and Washburn County Emergency Management, along with Northwest Regional Director, are working to coordinate and plan a training and workshop for elected officials within the county's municipalities. The Sawyer County Communication Center was awarded a grant for the FY25 PSAP grant program. Call volume from this time last year is up slightly. No report from the communication system code enforcement specialist. A written report was provided by Chaz Olson. Reported that the dog license will be available for sale in December and beyond. And do you think I should read that one with Attorney Duffy? Should I read that? Okay. We've had come before the Public Safety Committee on the Animal Control Ordinance, and Mr. Tom Duffy spoke regarding the Animal Control Ordinance, relaying that historically cats have not been governed under the county ordinance. If a cat case causes physical harm or destroys property, citations would be likely given. If the county chooses to govern cats in large determinations, then it's stated they should be licensed, which is not being done. A motion was made by Mr. Helwig to have Attorney Duffy edit the ordinance to not include cats and bring it back to the committee for further action. And it was seconded by Mr. Haney. Child support, month of October was $118,237.22. Amount collected of $83,195.54. Reported that they are getting more calls and paternity cases involving undocumented migrants. Public safety report, written report shared on a run volume is up from last year, and the coverage has been sufficient. Calls for anxiety are increasing, including young individuals. Mr. Fremmel feels that increase in vaping activity in the youth is one of the major causes. And training in the AED has increased, saves in calls. They may conduct an EMR course in Winter area, as well as another in Hayward. That ends my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any questions?
I guess I do. Is there any advance in our county communication system? Or is that gonna be in another committee update?
It's still being worked on.
Okay.
We're waiting, all right, go ahead. We're waiting for another bug tussle. So it was decided that the economic development, that we are gonna have a joint meeting with public safety and the economic development to see this and see how we wanna go with this. So I guess that's where it stands as right now, right, Andy?
That's correct.
Okay.
Ms. Hessen.
Could I request that you reflect in the conversation that it's Tom Jr., so that it's no reflection on Tom Sr. on the Duffy aspect of it? Thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. All right. Number 16, Land, Water, and Forestry Resource Committee. Who's the vice chair of that?
That would be me.
Thank you.
We meet tomorrow, so after that, I will have a report for you.
Okay. Thank you. Number 17, Health and Human Services Board. Ms. Wilson.
Health and Human Services met on December 10th.
After the Thanksgiving holiday, and people were spending time with their families, there's been an increase in request for care for adult long-term. The ADRC has a new database, which they're struggling with at the state level. In behavioral health, the clinic is in reconfiguration at this time because of Mr. Bodo's retirement. OWI assessments are being covered. There are 58 clients in children long-term care support. They are in conversation with a new private transport service to help us with the expenses that we have there. In Child Protective Services, the county received a $389,724 grant awarded for truancy and a diversion program for ages 10 to 16. We were one of 2 counties in the state that were selected for this grant. There are 36 cases in youth justice, 4 of them are in court. In economic support, there were $280,855 in food share benefits awarded. There's a WEAP Energy Assistance Program that has begun in the area. And the call center received 8,696 calls for the month. Public Health reported that there's been an increase in flu and RSV. COVID is at a low level at this time. The teen birth rate is the lowest and has the largest decline in the state of Wisconsin for Sawyer County. We had a report on the tourist rooming house ordinance, and Mr. McKay gave a report. In consultation with the state, they have determined that there's no size limit for the number of bedrooms in a short-term rental. Starting January 1st, they'll be working with zoning to match the septic size and occupancy of short-term rentals. They're using a service called Granicus, which scours the webs for short-term rentals to make sure that everyone is in compliance with the license. Under fiscal, we reviewed the opiate settlement dollars, and we are under budget due to the excellent coordinating of funds from other sources that are available to save the opiate funds and have it last longer. That is my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Number 18, Finance Committee, Mr. Righeimer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on December 12th. We had an audit report. Ms. April Anderson of CLA Connect presented this report. The Sawyer County received the highest rating possible for this audit. The 2 material weaknesses found are limiting segregation of duties, and there were some material audit adjustments, but that's not uncommon for a county our size with not having that segregation due to lack of personnel. She reviewed the financial statement notations that were included in the report. General obligation debt as percent of debt limitation is 4.6% within the recommended range. And the report will also be reviewed at a full board meeting, I guess this week, today, yeah. Treasurer's report, written report was provided. There are approximately 49 parcels with 220 delinquent taxes in comparison to last year at this time of approximately 47 parcels of the 2019 delinquent taxes. Abstract free notices and property tax statements were mailed November 21st to 37 property owners with 2020 delinquent taxes. Sawyer County will soon begin in the REM process. The majority of the 24 tax bills have been picked up by the municipalities and have been mailed. Finance Department report. Reports were provided and reviewed by Mr. Markren. Sales tax dipped a little in November, but we remain on pace for $3 million. Revenue projections look good, as well as the expenses in all departments. We may need to transfer funds for highway and HHS pending expenses. Grant funds coming in are strong, but Medicaid repayments are lagging behind, and he may recommend doing a general fund balance transfer account for the shortage in HHS. We did not have a lot of activity from monthly CIP, but did have some highway expenses. Investment update, year-to-date interest earned is $1 million, a little over $1 million with $79,131 this past month. He recommends keeping funds where they are currently and review them again next month. EMS ambulance. The new billing company is quicker in providing reports, however, data changes quickly. We continue to move in the right direction with aging report collections. Average calls per month are starting to level out compared to previous years, as are the average billed month and average collected per month. The percent collected is 36.16%, with the goal being 50%. The dollars billed and collected per call is at an all-time high this month, and we continue to rely heavily on the Medicaid, Medicare payment, which is historically low. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Any questions? Number 19, Administrator's Report. Mr. Alvarado.
Administration.
Okay.
So-
Mr. Fedlin.
19, we added in the administration committee as they forwarded the signed offer to purchase for the Highway 63 property here to the county board for action. So item A in the attachment is the executed commercial offer to purchase. After the November meeting where the board approved the resolution to enter into the letter of intent with the sellers for the former Dairy Queen property. We had the letter of intent was to be replaced by a definitive agreement. So there we worked out a commercial offer to purchase with legal counsel that we submitted to the sellers outlining all of the details for the purchase. So a couple noteworthy things, most of the noteworthy things are towards the end here in the contingency area. Line 620. The payoff is a moving number. It's the principal plus the interest whenever the closing date is. And so we're just stipulating that both parties agree that the buyers are paying off the mortgage with Chippewa Valley Bank. Parties are agreeing that the sellers pay the following closing costs. The seller is paying for the title insurance, transfer fee, and any back taxes on the property. The seller is responsible for getting all the closing documents drafted. That the offer as outlined here is contingent upon Sawyer County Board approval at tonight's meeting. The other item I want to point out is that this includes closing date of December 30th. That's what's listed in the offer. Timeline to close it by the end of the year, but I don't believe that's going to be possible. So in the resolution, which outlines the transaction to date, and with the now therefore be resolved, the board would approve the offer to purchase as attached with Sean and Kara Carlson for the property located at 15785 US Highway 63. Upon approval, the board directs the county administrator to complete the purchase as outlined. And then be it further resolved that the board approves extension of the closing date beyond the December 30th, 2024 date, including the offer to purchase upon mutual agreement with the seller. Because I do believe we're gonna have to go into 2025 once we get all the closing documents, title insurance prepared, and get a closing date settled. So the offer to purchase is attached, as is the resolution that was approved at the administration committee to approve the offer to purchase and proceed with the acquisition.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to deny this resolution approving any offer to purchase.
Mr. Howie.
I'd second that motion.
So we have a motion by Mr. Schuman, second by Mr. Howie to deny. Discussion.
In discussion, is this a budget amendment where it would take a 2/3 vote or?
No, we're anticipating the purchase going into 2025, which is one of the other reasons to go into 2025, because the board did amend the 25 budget at November's meeting. You moved $250,000 from the Resource Development Fund to the Veterans Honor Park budget, or created a Veterans Honor Park budget.
Ms. Hessel.
So we're not voting on the concept, we're just voting on the property. So just to be clear on that. And then also, I know, some opinions have been that it's moved too fast, but a lot of people argue that government moves too slow. So you can never win. Also, taking into consideration that this spot is highly visible, the maintenance would be really low on anything that is put there. It would be a high traffic area, so it would be easy to watch and make sure there's no vandals. So the positives outweigh the cons. I know that some people say that is not big enough, but I have talked to highly decorated service members, retired officers, and they say that you don't need something grand. You need a reminder that this location serves as a reminder that it's a stoplight. It's not a checkpoint like you would have if you served overseas. So just take those things into consideration when you're denying this spot. What is the better spot? Where is not going to be taken off the tax roll? Because we don't want to cripple any community by taking property off the tax roll. Is the town of Hayward spot more visible? That's if you're driving 77, it is, but the Highway 63 location is highly visible. And there's another lot that's highly visible on Highway 63, but that's 200,000. So trying to be responsible, and I know that maybe the purchase price, everybody said you need to negotiate it, but that is what the gentleman owes, and that's what he's offered to sell it to us for. So just consider facts. Not everything has to be grandiose. It simply needs to be a reminder of why we are free.
Mr. Helwig.
Just a note first, I've been advised to state in my notes, so I'll do that. There's a few issues with this proposal. It was done very quickly. There's no rush to make this happen. There's no plan. You have to know what you're going to build before you purchase a piece of property. Hasn't been any discussion with veterans or the local, the public. You mentioned that you spoke to veterans. Didn't speak to me about it. I'm a retired veteran, 26 years, combat veteran. I know you spoke to one. Should be an ad hoc committee to discuss and decide the appropriate plan and location of the site. We are not here to fix eyesores in the county. That shouldn't be a part of this discussion whatsoever. This is a monument for veterans. It's got nothing to do with eyesores. Thank you.
Mr. Eggheimer.
Yeah, I would echo a lot what Stacy said, but I just think, much has been said about the cost and it being too much, but for that location and how highly trafficked it is, I think it's on par from what you would get, or maybe even less if you found something at that type of traffic movement. I think what's best about this is it is highly visible, and that moment to pause and see it and think about what it is. This is not a picnic area. It's a highly visible place to put this memorial, not hide it to where a lot of people in the county wouldn't even know that it's there. And although our job is not to beautify the town or the city of Hayward, I mean, the fact is that it's been an eyesore there for 10 years. And probably will continue, if this doesn't go through, probably will continue to be an eyesore again for at least another decade. Because there's not really much more you would put in there, right? So I think we just have to, and over the lifetime, this will be there forever, hopefully. The cost will be negligible at that point when you look at this thing 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the road.
Mr. Duffy.
A couple items. First of all, I think if it's an eyesore, it isn't the county's job to make the city beautiful. The city should get involved. Number two is, who's been on the search committee to look for other parcels? And how can we not at least give serious consideration to the town's offer? And how can we sit here and agree to pay $250,000 when the town has agreed to give us some property? I don't know. I think that we've acted far too quickly, and then this thing deserves more thought and get more of the public involved and get their comments, and certainly the veterans.
Ms. Wilson.
Thank you. A Veterans Honor Park would be a valuable asset for Sawyer County. My husband is a veteran. My father, numerous uncles were veterans. Even a great nephew and great niece are veterans. I sew quilts of valor for our Sawyer County veterans. It is an emotional side of this purchase decision. We all want to honor our veterans, but on the practical side, the cost associated with this purchase of the Dairy Queen property, $150,000 plus and $50,000 to raise the building leaves little for the honor park. What are we gonna have, a couple of flags and a bench? Also, as mentioned by other people, there's been no public involvement in choosing a site for the veterans. And forming a committee to search, maybe the Hayward, town of Hayward would be a good spot. Maybe there's something else, but I really think we need to look at this with public involvement in the decision process. I believe that we should not vote for this purchase. It's not a vote against honoring our veterans, but it is for this specific purchase. Thanks.
May I just clarify, the quote to raise it is actually 23,000. Andy has the quote as 23,000. I don't know where the 50,000 came from.
Okay. So we have a motion to deny.
Roll call vote, Chairman, I think.
Do you want a roll call or do you want to use your clickers? Whatever. You want to use the clicker or the roll call?
We're gonna try the clicker. Let's give it a shot.
Is that acceptable?
Chair, can I ask for you to give clarification on what, so we're voting yes if you want to deny, no if you want it to go ahead, correct? I just want to make sure we have new people and.
Yeah.
So the voting is open on the clicker.
No, the motion is to deny.
Yes, if you want to deny it, no, if you want to.
And you said that you can vote now?
Voting should be open. I see some coming in, so. Ron Kinsley did not show up yet. I've got Stacy, Mark, Ron, Buckles. Everybody else click again. Okay, we've got John, Rinkheimer, Kay, Marshall, Randy, and Jim Evans, and we need Chuck. Do you have Tom? Yes, I have Tom. I have everybody but Chuck. He might have a dead battery, so he might have to let it. So I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna close the poll. Okay, so Chuck, did you want to give me your spot that it didn't show? You voted yes. Okay, denied. Okay, so the yeses win with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 4.
So motion carries to deny. Number 20, Economic Development UW Extension Committee Report. Mr. Ringheimer.
Thank you. We met on December 9th. Mr. Alvarado presented an MOU between the UW-Madison Division of Extension and Sawyer County to supplement the current contract we have with them. Hayward Lakes Visitors and Convention Bureau. Ms. Simpson explained the relationship between the HLVCB and Destination Wisconsin. HLVCB began running a digital Google Ads pay-per-click campaign targeting four main topics, year-round things to do in Hayward: fishing, ATV, UTV, and snowmobiling. In the first 6 days, they got 564 clicks. Their primary target audience is younger families. The Economic Development Corporation report, Mr. Lamaro reported good things happening in the incubator project, applying for a grant and combining forces with the LCO. They're also working on marketing projects to encourage doing business in Sawyer County. They also have workforce education trainings coming up soon, and flyers will be provided to the committee. The motorized trail and non-motorized trail report. Ms. LaRue advised that the clubs are getting the trails ready for snowmobiling. They held a fundraiser a few weeks ago with good attendance. Mr. Duffy advised that there are over 10,300 skiers registered for the Berkey and 2.5 kilometer of machine-made snow down at the Berkey start. About 515 skiers attended last month's Turkey Berkey race, and the next event will be the Is it Gumi? Okay. It says Gami. Gitchigumi Games, and 600 kids are registered. I thought maybe it was a twist or play on words, I don't know. County connectivity, cell band, broadband, public safety network. Mr. Alvarado advised the discussion for public safety network counties continues, and Scott Feld from Bug Tussle joined the meeting virtually to respond to questions. Mr. Feld reported that they would be happy to revisit the project and see if altercations would be needed. They are waiting for the PSC to see how much funding can be available. The county has 3 priorities with connectivity. 1, EMS support. Again, that's 1, EMS support. 2, improve cell service for the public and EMS. And 3, increase broadband availability. Timing-wise, items 1 and 2 could work hand in hand and could be completed first, while increased broadband availability could come later. It was suggested that both the Econ and Public Safety will meet to create a proposal for a future counter board meeting. Broadband update, considering BEAD endorsements, the state has $1 billion to distribute for broadband projects. Our first request is from Mosaic Technologies. Deanna Westfall from Mosaic shared the request, and committee members were provided a packet of information. Maps of future projects were included in the presentation. The projected project would cover areas of the county by the Chippewa flowage and extensions thereof, town of Sand Lake, Bass Lake, Hayward, and Lenroot. A resolution to endorse the project was presented. A motion was made and approved. The revised resolution, including CTC Telecom doing business as Mosaic Technologies, was made. It passed unanimously. Historical Society, Mr. Ferguson advised that we will be looking for a new board member soon, or that they will be looking for new board members soon. Their next meeting is January at the Weiss Library. They received a substantial donation from an anonymous patron, and they are doing very well funding themselves. And that ends my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Ringheimer? Hearing none, now we'll have the county administrator's report. Thank you for correcting me.
One more thing, 20B.
Consider the BEAD endorsement discussion possible action.
So in Mr. Righeimer's report, he mentioned the BEAD endorsement that was requested by Mosaic Technologies. I think I've been talking about BEAD on and off for months. So we're getting closer to where the state's gonna have the funding application open. As part of the application, providers who are pursuing those funds can ask for endorsements from county government to get behind their project. It allows them to score points on their application. So Mosaic did make that presentation and is intending to apply for funding for units within the town of Sand Lake, Bass Lake, Hayward, and Lenroot. And so the accompanying resolution would be granting them an endorsement for BEAD funds for those units within those towns that they apply for. We endorse the application and support their project. And with passage of this resolution, I would be drafting a letter to provide to the PSC and the applicant outlining our endorsement and verifying the applicant and geographic location affected.
Ms. Hessel.
I make a motion to approve the BEAD endorsement.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Ms. Hessel, second by Ms. Wilson to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. May I please ask you to have your report now?
Yes. All right, so report for December. Everybody knock on wood, but I'm gonna say that right now, we're probably in the best position we've been as far as vacancies in the county in quite a while. I think we're close to filling our last deputy position. I think we have an offer that is pending acceptance. We're filling some paramedic positions because we have some of our current EMT staff that are completing the paramedic program and taking their tests in process right now. And then we did make an offer on the open maintenance position and the open highway position. So we do have a old vacancy in HHS that we're working with, but are repositioning that job actually And then the real property lister, Rachel is becoming our register of deeds, and we have an opening there, but we also aren't, in a rush for that position either. We're looking for, it's a really very specific type of work that a real property lister does. Nobody really goes to school for that, or, you don't really find somebody that's done that job before, so we're looking for the right background to fill that job. Other than that, we're sitting really good as far as turnover and vacancies within the county. Thanks, Joel. Corporation Council, we're still working on the tax deed process changes because of Act 207 and 216. We're pushing that up for a few more months. And then quite a bit of work on the Lake District formation. Airport, no real news there, just it's winter, so we're always jockeying snow removal and making sure that's getting accomplished. Ambulance, I've been talking about just the need to fill our positions in order to have an efficient operation, so that's slowly happening as we move EMTs to paramedics. We do have a much better pool of EMTs to fill some of those vacant spots. So it's gonna lead to us, we've always operated a full-time crew in Ojibwa and Hayward and what we call a power truck in Hayward. And we're adjusting staffing, so we expect to get to the place where we'll have 2 rigs in Hayward and 1 in Ojibwa, and can have some of those conversations that have been desired about service throughout the county. We did get a formal correspondence as well as a lot of citizen requests. The formal request from the 4 towns of Hunter, Round Lake, Spider Lake, and Hayward to discuss ambulance service out in that area. I think prior to that, the town of Round Lake had offered a piece of land by their town hall for permanent ambulance base. So I think we're, like I said, in a spot where we can have that. They're coordinating a meeting. Right now it's tentatively set for January 14th for us to go out and hear their concerns and share where we're at with the ambulance service. And then we've also been made aware of some concerns in the town of Sand Lake area, and we'll be trying to address those as well. So I guess just one comment to the board, if in your area, your constituents have concerns about ambulance service, let us know so we can give you information. I know the one concern we've had is response times. So we did spend quite a bit of time here the last month working with our software, and at least for 24 and most of 23 pulled out all the calls by town and then the response time, how long from dispatch to on scene for each call, so you can see how long it takes to get an ambulance into each town, depending on where the call is. So if you need that information, let us know and we can put that together for you. Economic development, just some work with Adam with the EDC regarding housing. We have some potential opportunities there that maybe the county wants to take a look at, and we're putting those together. Broadband, just to follow up on the BEAD resolution you just passed. The details for BEAD are still not necessarily finalized. The providers are still finding out where exactly the units are that are eligible and how much match funds they'll have to contribute. That's all expected to be finalized in January. And then the providers were able to apply. So we did an endorsement for Mosaic tonight. Novato has requested to be on the January Economic Development and Extension Committee as they anticipate applying and are asking for a county endorsement as well. Criminal Justice Council, a lot happening there. Diversion Treatment Court, as everybody knows, are up and running. Both are essentially running at capacity. Like Ms. Wilson highlighted, HHS is working on the youth justice issues and truancy and is receiving, I think they've got 3 grants total now. So things are moving along there, and we did apply and receive our 25 TAD grant to support the Treatment and Recovery Court. The other new news this morning, so our CJCC is one of 8 from around the country, I'm assuming, that have been selected by NACO, the National Association of Counties, to participate in the 2025 CJCC Peer Exchange. So hopefully we'll be coordinating that and sending a few people from our CJCC. I think it's in Colorado. It's in Colorado. Arapahoe County is coordinating it. So it'll be NACO paying the travel expenses. But we're just at a point with our CJCC where it's really evolved between the new courtroom, has changed our criminal justice, having the treatment courts up and running, getting into youth justice, and our partnership with LCO are all fairly unique things. that it seemed like a good opportunity for us to learn how we evolve now in the future. Kind of all the, the initial work to get to this point has been good. Now it's how do you evaluate the success and what are your next steps? So that's why we put our name out there and are trying to take advantage of learning from other counties that have CJCCs. Facilities, nothing really new there. Question early on about the public safety network. We're working on a joint meeting of public safety and economic development to hash this out with Bob Tussle, but also just where we're at with the public safety network. I think it's going to be a combined meeting on public safety, meeting on January 2nd. That's at least what we're working on right now. Second to that, we have not, still talking to WOJB and their tower, waiting a response from them. That's still a key piece of regards to what we do to cover a big piece of the county if we can get use of their tower. And then also potentially a joint tower with the state in the east side of the county. But we don't have any concrete responses for those. The Lake District formation, it's been a fairly big project for staff as well as for the committee to understand. We did postpone the Land, Water, Forestry Committee meeting until tomorrow to allow a fourth member to be sat. Otherwise, we were down to 3 in part, so we can get everybody up to speed on that. There's a requirement that the report to the board from the public hearing has to be done within 3 months. So the public hearing was in November, so it'll go through the committee and then to the board in January to get you all up to speed on the findings of the committee regarding the petition and the hearing and the feedback that's been gathered. Other small items, at the beginning of the meeting, we highlighted that we are losing our 3 constitutional officers. And so the transition has been underway for months, fairly unique, I think, in how we've transitioned internally with the Register of Deeds. We had a vacancy in the clerk's office, so Clerk-elect Klein has been able to be working in the office. And then now we're working, the treasurers are transitioning and getting their training. So everybody is hopefully, as much as they can, be up to speed when they start on January 6th. State budget process has started. The governor held, I think, his first hearing last week up in Ashland. WCA is organizing the county ambassador program. We'll start meeting with legislators next month on preparation for the next state budget. Internally, implementing the 25 budget as far as getting capital improvement purchases lined up, implementing fees and that type of thing. Tourist rooming house, you heard that the implementation is underway for that. We've got some good work being done there. Did talk to the department heads about just improving their monthly reports a little bit for you, not just showing what the month activity was like, but how that's relative to the year overall and prior years to give you a sense of is workload increasing, decreasing, or what things are happening that are impacting the office work, as well as just a little bit bigger year-end reports so everybody understands what our departments are doing and how they're measuring their success or what their goals are for the year. And then you will note in the coming year, I don't know if you've noticed this, but we've added a few different domain names with our email. The sheriff, human services, you all have different domain addresses for email. It makes things a little difficult as far as scheduling and common calendars. So we're going to take the step of consolidating our domains, which sounds simple. And I'm sure for the IT people, it can be simple, but it's going to be an adjustment. So we're doing that. And then a little more website development. You're going to see some permits being available online with online payments. And we're starting with the highway department and forestry, and then next one will be zoning. So just trying to evolve a little bit technology side. And I think that is all, sir.
Any questions for Mr. Alvarado? Hearing none. Board appointment committee updates. Anybody have anything they want to share with the board? Mr. Steve?
Thank you, Chairman. The November 18th Indian Head Community Action Agency board meeting included board development training and annual election of officers, where I was elected secretary of the executive committee. At the December 16th meeting, which was last Monday, I was appointed to the Finance Committee and the Strategic Planning Committee. We reviewed Indian Head's 2023 Form 990 tax form, the October financial reports, and went through over the Head Start and Early Head Start readiness plan for the upcoming year. All of you board members should have a copy of CACFP today in front of you. This highlights Indian Head's exemplary record keeping throughout their food program. Kind of a very nice shout out to them for doing things right. I should also note that this week's Sawyer County Record included an article about Indian Head's success in receiving a $25,000 grant that will help benefit families of veterans who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless with essential items to help them as they work towards self-sufficiency. On November 20th, SEP held a Zoom board meeting to review and approve the 2024-25 budget. Their budget year runs from July 1st to June 30th. The budget calls for revenue and expense cuts of more than $1 million from the prior year. On December 18th, yesterday, the SEP board met in Ashland. Each of you should have a copy of the SEP board report for November and December, and this provides some detail of the program and staffing changes that have been implemented by SEP. The new executive director and treasurer have done a great job of identifying the root causes of SEP's financial issues and in developing a plan toward solvency. They've also worked hard to keep staff and board members updated on a regular basis. SEP's treasurer reminded me that the $5,000 loan from Sawyer County to SEP that was unanimously approved by this board on July 18th has not yet been received by SEP, and she wishes to know why that is the case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else that care to share something? Number 23, correspondence, reports, conferences, meetings. Well, I'd like to thank our county clerk, Ms. Lynn Fitch, for all her work for the last 4 years, and good luck in the future. Also, at the same time, I'd like to welcome Ms. Liz Klein to filling that role. It's Christmas time. Have a nice Christmas. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
And I need to keep the following board members for signatures: John Righeimer, Tom Duffy, Randy Newman, Stacy Hessel, Steve Carrieinen, and Ron Buckholz. And of course, you.